It's 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! Yeah, baby. And thank you, fake band. Thank you, fake audience. Let's see who's in that chat room. Try to get seated properly. Hello, everybody. We've got, let's see who we've got in there. Jesse J. Peck, Ian Shortle, Dean Turner, Bob Gunnerfelt, Darren Moss, Dan Weber, Martin Gravel, Edmund Red, Spiritual, Michael McGraw, Brad Gray, Riffs That Rule, Peter Rayhill, Pete Mason, Glenn Letts. How's the Wild Kingdom? Not so wild today, actually. Thanks for asking. Marion Laird, Jonathan Morse. Let's see. Yes. Hit that like button. You guys have been doing really well. Last couple of days, I was checking it out. Saw that you guys, I think we had like 60 likes on one of these. Surprising. Shocking. Made me happy. Let's see. Thank you, Pete Mason. So I'm going to wait a moment. Ewart Williams, hello. Hello. And I saw your posts about you've been to some road rallies and stuff and that we met. So thank you. Nice to see you in here. Outing yourself as it is, or as it were. Marion Laird, having trouble finding the live feed on the computer. Darren Fletcher, Mark Reel, Dave Merkel. Wonderful to be in my presence. Well, thank you. There we go. Got to get situated more properly. What did I want to tell you? I spoke to Darren Moss. 24 people watching, 13 likes. Who's holding out? I don't know. Let's find out. Giovanni Lanza, hello. So I'm waiting. Yesterday, I inadvertently forgot to play a song called The Way You Are by Robert Orzechowski. So hopefully he'll show up in a minute or two. Hello, JP. So as soon as he shows up, I will play that song. I felt bad yesterday when we were all done. Liz said, you forgot to play Robert Orzechowski. So my apologies for that. And we will do that in a moment or two. So I was on the phone today with my friend Fett, who many of you know. Today's drink word. Oh, look, animal sighting. Hello, Aaron Northern. So I was on the phone with Fett, the engineer-producer from Nashville, and author of Fett's Mixing Roadmap, I believe is the title of the book. Excuse me. So he is going to join us tomorrow. Hello, Daryl Berman, for the Quarantini Happy Hour. So start getting your questions ready for Fett. Any, excuse me, engineering or mixing questions you may have. Jim Stamper's ahead of the group. He's already finished his Cabernet. Wow, and Riffs That Rules, reading Fett's book right now. It's great. It really is a great book. Hello, Alex Dillon. I hope Orzechowski shows up. Fett is the shiz. Yes, he is. Oh, no, I forgot to put my makeup on. My forehead's a little bit shiny today. Let's see. Let's get some makeup on that shiny forehead. Hello, Lucian. How are you? Il Rosso, hello. Bria used to always tell me that I put my makeup on wrong. Actually, Bria gave me some new makeup and a brush to put it on with some time ago, but it's out of my reach. Hello, Lee Lux, new to Taxi. Nice to meet you as well. Giovanni Lanza, like an actor. Yep. So, all right, what do you guys want to talk about? I was so busy taking care of some responsibilities momentarily. It had nothing to do with picking tomatoes or checking my zucchini plants, but I was actually working on some taxi work and didn't get prepped for the show today. So this is one of those shows where I'm going to have to rely on you guys. Shouldn't be buffering. There's Orzechowski. Robert, I forgot to play your song yesterday. Somehow I missed it on the list. So in a moment or two, I will play it. My apologies for missing you yesterday. Yeah, well, I have a mirror because I can see my face in the screen. Yeah, I just checked. I've got my Ethernet plugged in. I should be good. So let's start today out. Let me get my other earbud in. And we will play this song. For anybody watching who's new, yesterday and the day before, we played a bunch of songs. Oh my goodness, there goes the squirrel. I guess the critters are out. They know that when 4 o'clock rolls around that I'm trapped in the house. Not that this is trapped, but you know what I mean. I'm in the house and I'm not coming out, so that the crows, the squirrels, and the gophers can feel free to play out there without me joining them. Il Rasso says, I'd love it if we could do a constructive feedback listening session at some point. There you go. Okay. I must have strange ears. These things don't fit worth a damn. I see the way you see when we're apart. I love the way you love, the way you are. I see the way you see when we're apart. I love the way you love, the way you are. There you have it. Robert Orzechowski. Nice song. Great harmonies. Sounded very, I guess I can take those out now. Very Beach Boy-esque. Nice job. So how's everybody doing today? Can't believe that it's going to be, just a reminder, we're not doing a regular Taxi TV on Monday because in the United States it's Labor Day, so Taxi will be closed for the holiday. Even Taxi at my house will be closed for the holiday. And for those of you who joined us late, be here tomorrow with your engineering, mixing, production question, because we're going to be joined by FET. Darren Moss says, what's my general advice to the Quarantini gang now that I've heard their music? What are some great next steps for everyone in a general sense? I don't know that I could generalize. I mean, things were, stylistically all over the place, wide range of stuff, production styles. Well, there's one. I heard several things that could be made to be, I know you guys know the word that's going to come out of my mouth now, more contemporary. But honestly, it's so hard to make a general statement as to how to make things sound contemporary because it really depends on the particular song. Sometimes it could be the melody is not that contemporary. Sometimes it could be the parts, the instrumental parts, the bass, the guitar, keyboard, drums, any of the instrumental parts, not very contemporary. So, the best way to sound contemporary is to listen to a lot of contemporary stuff. And I know people often say, oh, I don't like the new stuff. But you know what? I don't think you're searching. If you're only listening to like the top 40 radio station in your town, that may not be the best guide to contemporary. It's certainly a guide to what sounds contemporary, but you'd be better off going to Spotify and checking out the playlist there because I find that Spotify playlists are a little bit more like FM radio back in the day where it's not so locked into, top 40 as you hear it on the radio. It's not as limited. The playlist isn't as narrow. Oh no, now I feel a sneeze brewing because I put my makeup on. Fett mixed and mastered an instrumental of mine. Great job. Yeah, he's a talented guy. Fett used to be, I want to say like a physicist or something. I don't know. He worked for some big corporation and he just left that world, said, you know what? I want to be doing what I love to do, which is recording. So at some point he set up a studio. I've actually been to his house in Nashville and he's got probably the biggest home studio. He took the vast majority of his basement, turned it into a big studio in his basement. You could do a full-on record in that room. There are a lot of physics in music, a lot of physics in engineering. Lee Luck says, I love the way 80s sounds are showing up in today's pop. They certainly are. I personally not a big fan of a lot of the 80s music. Doesn't mean anything. That's just a matter of personal taste, what resonates for me. But after I quit making records for the most part, which was somewhere around 1982 or 83, and got into doing audio post-production in New York City, I really drifted away from making it my business to listen to a lot of what was on the radio at the time because I wasn't making records anymore. I'm with Pete Mason, 70s rule. But then I think it was around 1985 or 86. I got coerced by the almighty dollar to do a couple records. One was for, I want to say, Polygram, and another one for maybe Warner Brothers UK or something. And I did two records that, to be honest, I did them for the money. It wasn't like I was that into the music, but I was in the process of buying my first house and wanted to make a lot of money. So I would do audio post from 9 to 6 every day, and then around 6:30 I would start working on these records. One of them, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this group. It was a group from Philadelphia, I think, called the Reds, Reds. And the producer was a guy named Mike Thorne, who produced Tainted Love. And he and I worked well in the studio together. Hello, Simon. We got along well, but the whole record was done with a synclavier. I mean, they had a guy, I hope I'm not confusing it with the other band I did around that time, but they had a guy that played like a stand-up bass, and Mike Thorne sampled like every note of every instrument, sampled all the vocals, and then built the entire record coming out of the synclavier, and the band was just sitting around the studio just bored out of their brains. And I don't even know if you could call what I did on that record, and I think I engineered most of it, if you could even call it engineering, because the vast majority of what I did was just two faders, stereo left, stereo right, coming out of the synclavier, and I didn't have to EQ anything. I didn't have to put anything through a limiter or a compressor, because everything was coming out of a wire from the synclavier. So all I did was sit there and shove up those two faders, check my levels, hit play and record, let Mike Thorne do his thing with the synclavier, and then at some point we would be done with that track and move on to another one. It was awful for the musicians, Marion. They just sat there just like, do we ever get to do anything? I can't even remember the name of the other band, but one of the groups that I did that year was called the Reds. And it's great. It was great for me money-wise, because I just made up some ridiculous amount that I wanted. My music attorney at the time was a guy named John Waxman, who remains a friend to this day, and they found me through him. And I said, I don't know, man. I'm kind of done with making records. I've had enough of the drugged out people, punching in syllables till 4 o'clock in the morning. And he said, name your price. So, I mean, this was, mid 80s. And I think I said something like $75 an hour. And they went, okay. I was pissed that I didn't ask for $100 an hour. So I would literally work from 9 to 6 doing all these big audio posts on all kinds of big TV commercials, and then start with them around 6:30. And one of the things that I asked for in my contract was they provided a limousine to take me home every night. Could have been a town car. It's not like I demanded a limousine. I was working in New York City, right around Grand Central Station at 420 Lexington. And we usually wrapped up around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And this driver would sit downstairs waiting for me outside of Grand Central and then drive me home to New Jersey. It was about a 40-minute drive. And I would try and fall asleep in the back of the car. And then a lot of times the driver, who was this Russian guy, barely spoke any English, nice enough guy. But I felt bad. I couldn't expect him to sit out in the car in front of my house for another hour or two. So a lot of times I'd invite him into the house, and he would sit there in the kitchen, having cereal at the breakfast table. And I would go upstairs and take a shower, maybe nap for a half an hour or so, and then come downstairs, have a little breakfast, get back in his car, and sit in rush hour traffic back to New York City, sleeping in the back seat. Yakov Smirnov. No, that wasn't his name. Yep, Don Henley and Glenn Fry. That's they were definitely Linda Ronstadt's backup band. Anyway, so I made those two records, made a ton of money, used it as the down payment on a house. So there you go. Andrew Gold, awesome. I told you guys my Andrew Gold story the other day, right? Hello, Alan Hall. So there you go. Um, Lee Lux, I love hearing industry stories. Thanks for sharing. Well, you're welcome. Boy, you've missed a million of them. I've got to say, good chunk of these quarantini happy hours have been filled with my stories of studio debauchery. I can't repeat those stories. I've told those stories so many times. And the grandkids are a little bit young to hear some of those stories, so I don't tell them. Put it all in a book. Nobody would buy it but you guys. Yeah, I like Mark Ronson. Tame Impala, one of the first kind of modern bands of this era that I really got into. I like them as well. Uptown Funk, what a great song. Is Jackson Brown from California? Yes, he is. Here, I've got a story I might not have told you. Then again, I probably have because I repeat them all. Um, Back in 1989, I met my lovely wife, Deborah, and she had an apartment in Santa Monica, about, I don't know, 35 minutes away from where I lived in Woodland Hills. And as the relationship moved forward, sometimes I would stay over in Santa Monica, sometimes she would stay over in Woodland Hills. Her apartment in Santa Monica, if you looked out of her bedroom window in Santa Monica, behind the houses, they have, sorry, my ears are stuffed up. They have alleyways where garages open up to these alleys and people put their garbage out there. Nowadays, there are homeless camps in those alleys. And so one morning, I believe it was like on a Saturday morning or something, and it was early, like 7 a.m. We heard hammering and sawing, like a handheld circular saw. And I whipped open the window, and I see these people out there working on a wooden staircase going up to what looked like an apartment or something, sitting on top of a garage of the house across the alley. And I opened up the window and yelled out something like, come on, it's 7 a.m., blah, 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 blah. Well, as it turns out, one of the construction workers was a guy named Doug Minnick, who had been a publisher in the music industry for many years. And he lost a job and was between gigs, so he had carpentry skills, and he was working on that staircase. And it was actually going to Jackson Brown's studio. Jackson Brown lived directly behind Deborah's apartment in Santa Monica. So I didn't know Doug Minnick at the time, but years later he came on board as a taxi screener and eventually became vice president of the company. And he mentioned one day that he had done some carpentry work on Jackson Brown's studio. And I said, oh, you were probably one of the guys. I whipped open the window and started yelling and cursing at you. And he goes, I remember that. So that was Doug. Just spoke to him yesterday, as a matter of fact, or this morning. Darren Moss. Doug Minnick is an awesome guy. Yes, he is. We are still close friends. We rarely see each other, but we do exchange emails and texts, the occasional phone call and the occasional lunch. He will be a lifelong friend of mine. Anyway, so yeah, Jackson Browne and Daryl Hannah were living together at the time. And it was not uncommon that at night, because Deb lived in Santa Monica, she actually didn't even have air conditioning in that apartment because you didn't need it very often. She was only 3 blocks in from the ocean. And when Jackson Browne would write, most of the time he would write songs on the piano. And they had the windows open in their house to get the ocean breeze. And because the breeze blew from their open window into Deb's open window, we could actually sit in her bedroom of her apartment and hear Jackson Browne writing songs. So that was pretty cool. Hello, Richard Carr. I may have told you that before. I don't know. But and Daryl and Jackson had some rather loud moments on occasion. There was one morning where we woke up, we heard a little bit of ruckus out in the backyard, and opened up the window, and there were Julia Roberts and Daryl Hannah in one-piece bathing suits on a trampoline in the backyard, jumping up and down. So I grabbed Deb's 35 SLR and I'm snapping pictures thinking, all right, I'm going to sell this to a newspaper because privacy, hell, get a taller fence. Anyway, there was no film in the camera. Yeah, it was definitely a Kodak moment. There were times that JFK Jr. came to visit Daryl Hannah at that house. Presumably, maybe Jackson was on the road or something. I don't know. And Daryl Hannah had, what was it? It was like a Chevy muscle car. Not a Nova, whatever the next one up from a Nova. Smaller than a Caprice, bigger than a Nova. And she had one, I believe, that it had a stick shift and thrush mufflers. And there were times where she would come out of the house through the backyard wearing like a white terry cloth bathrobe and jump in that car, back it out of the garage, and just lay down some serious rubber in the alley. A Chevelle, that sounds about right. Now, it wasn't a Camaro. I think it might have been a Chevelle. I remember it was a two-door. I don't remember what color. I kind of want to say that it was green, but I'm not sure. Anyway, did I ever work on anything with Dan Fogelberg? I did not. However, my senior year in high school, I went to a Catholic boarding school because I'd been politely asked not to return to the college prep school that I went to the year before. So my parents said, well, we're going to send you off to his Catholic boarding school, which is pretty funny because I'm Jewish. And I had a friend, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, he and I would play and sing and do the occasional coffee house thing together. And back then, people would just literally pass a hat or pass a box around the coffee house, and people would throw donations in there. And I remember we went to a place, I want to say it was in Peoria, Illinois, probably about 2 hours away, to play a coffee house gig. And Dan Fogelberg was there. First of all, the guy was like strikingly handsome. Second of all, he was incredibly nice. And third, after he played, my friend and I looked at each other and said, man, oh man, if our name wasn't already on the list, we'd be so out of here. We got up there and we were just terrible compared to him. Jim Stamper, it's the first time I've noticed the sound of Laskow air conditioning. Yeah, well, it's right there. It's like, I don't know, 12 feet from me. Sorry about that. Daryl Hannah is Neil Young's current wife. They actually got married. And they live somewhere right around here, because Deb and I have seen Neil's car. Deb saw Daryl Hannah in the lobby of the movie theater about 2 years ago. Um, and then when we left the theater, I saw a car that could only belong to Neil Young. And when I got home, I Googled it. Sure enough, it was his car. Yeah, that was before Dan Fogelberg was famous. He was apparently kind of a big deal on the coffee house circuit, but his first record hadn't come out yet. Sure, Darren Moss says, suggestion to help us all be more contemporary. Let's all suggest some stuff released in 2020 that we love and recommend others check it out so we can be doing more modern stuff. All right, on the count of three, everybody post a current band from the last 2 years, let's say. Band or an artist that you love that's kind of new on the scene and sounds very contemporary. Neil did have a Ford station wagon called the Cosmic Coral Wagon when I worked with him on the Comes a Time record. I think it was like a 1955 Ford something or other. Whoa, those are coming in fast and furious. Let's see what we've got. We've got One Republic. I mean, they're current. They've been around for like 10 years. Kygo, Haim, Coulter Wall, The Highfields, Angus and Julia Stone, Phoebe Bridges, Billie Eilish, and there's one I can't pronounce. I can't pronounce that. You might want to spell that phonetically also. To be Nwigwe. I can't pronounce that. Check out Shelley Pikin's new LP 2.0, etc. Just came out. Actually, I think I owe Shelley a call. Peter Rahill, The Hollies, there you go. Dua Lipa, whoa. Fleur East, hello Ronald Schultz. Imagine Dragons, they're still active. Again, that was like 11 years ago. Wow, I'm going to have to check out Toby Wigwe. I cannot pronounce that. Ruel, she has an epic cinematic indie pop sound. While we're on that subject, it's funny how people in the industry like to dislike whatever is like current and happening. People in the industry pride themselves on discovery, as we all do. The people love to be first to figure out, oh, that's a great artist, then have that artist become a hit and say, oh yeah, I was into that artist long before everybody else. It's a point of pride, I think. And so epic cinematic stuff, very, very big style in movie trailers. And it's kind of like the happy clappy ukulele hand clap stuff where everybody is like, oh, I hate that stuff. But yet it still gets used. Maybe not quite as much as it was 5 years ago, but still does get used. And that epic cinematic stuff, reimagine old hits, something that was up-tempo and maybe even raucous, where people slow it way down and make it dreamy and cinematic. It's a very popular style, although my friends, music supervisor friends, when I've made mention of that, they're like, ew, that's so yesterday, but yet still popular. I need to catch up with you guys. You guys are typing a lot today. Received some really good advice from screeners. By the way, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. We've added a few new screeners, and we're still adding a few more, just so we can. We've had a lot of submissions lately, and with people dealing with COVID stuff, some of our older screeners have been less available. So we've hired some new screeners, and from what I hear from the A&R team, some of them have actually uh, been really, really like on it from the get-go. So we're happy about that. Yeah, 2 years does go by too fast these days. Can you believe how long have we all been locked down now? Let's see. So I think it was March 20th was the last day we were in the office at Taxi. So March, April, May, June, July, August. Heading towards 6 months. Yep, since March. Marcus King, check out One Day She's Gone, blowing up on US AAA radio. Hello, Deborah Holskamp. Another new name in the chat. It's nice to see some new people showing up in the chat. Were you guys, uh, Deborah, were you and Lee both lurkers before? So you've seen the show a lot, or is this your first time watching one of these quarantining happy hours? Which, just in case you don't know, these are very informal in case you didn't gather that. The shows that we do on Monday are more structured. Quarantini happy hours, confinement therapy. We're all homeless, out of work, musician bums, sort of. Um, I mentioned I have a friend developing an easy mastering tool. Is it on the market yet? I don't believe so because they sent me the beta version, and I have not. I've downloaded it, but I haven't opened it and used it yet. And they promised to let me know when it is available to the public so that I can have them join us for a Taxi TV on a Monday and do a demo of it. They have not informed me of that yet. Ronald Schultz, I have to kick myself in the butt for being a teacher. I got totally burnt out with this Google Classroom crap. I then started reading books by Dean Krippain and watching shows about Matt Vanderboe. Richard Carr says, I have a girlfriend, so I'm not homeless. That's an old musician joke. Um, wow, Deborah Holskamp's been a member for 5 years. Congratulations and thank you. Matt Vanderboe, MVP is Taxi's MVP. He's certainly one of them. Oh, okay. So here, I've got a topic for us to talk about. Um, it's political, but let's not treat it as politics, okay? Let's not go into a whole political discussion. It doesn't matter to me which side of the aisle you're on. That's not the reason I'm bringing it up. Only that Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, who is a congresswoman from California and loves to, like, you need to follow the rules and wear your mask. Nancy Pelosi got busted on Monday for being at a hair salon. They opened up for her and she went in to get her hair cut, and she was caught on security video. Who leaked that? I don't know, but that was kind of sneaky and probably uncalled for. But yes, Nancy Pelosi, who's busy telling us we need to wear our masks. And businesses need to be shut down. Actually, got a shut down business to do her hair. I need a haircut myself, so I'm going to call Nancy later and get the name of that salon. And got busted for not wearing a mask. So, yay for politicians. What's good for you, not necessarily for me. Marion Laird, I'm sure she's socially distanced. Well, Lee Luck says, the quarantinis are such a great idea. So glad for real-time interaction during COVID. That's why we started it, you know. There were, virtually all of us were quarantined and, you know, a little bored, a little lonely, and just decided to do this just for the hell of it. And as it turns out, it was a great idea. I love seeing all these people every day, and every now and then we actually learn some stuff. Martin Gravel says, Nancy Pelosi, a lady with a lot of different ice cream flavors in her freezer. Richard Carr, where do you live that Monday was the first day barbers and hairstylists were able to open? Yeah, because if that's true, I'm going to call my hair cutter. In California? You sure about that? Monterey Bay. Yeah, LA County, we've got yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with our governor or our mayor right now. LA, Liz says LA will be able to open next week. Is that open for everything? Does that mean the staff can go back to the office? Because remember how that worked out last time we thought that was going to happen? I did get your email about the Discord channel, and I made a note, but haven't checked it out yet. Robert Carr says, my girlfriend is an esthetician. Did I pronounce that right, or did you spell it wrong? Open for hair salons. Well, that's good news, because, yeah, I'm getting to that point now where, see, I got a lot of hair up there. That's all right, Robert Carr. They didn't spell it right. You're just a musician. It's okay. Yeah, L.A. County's had some strict do you live in L.A. County, Lee? Joseph Alonzo, you live in Fort Lauderdale. I used to live in Pompano Beach. Had a studio at Commercial Boulevard, Northeast 13th Avenue. What about doing the road rally from Vegas next year? It's funny. For 2 years, we did the road rally at whatever the hotel is now called at Hollywood and Highland, like right in the middle of that little touristy area. And while it was cool for the people coming in from out of town, they'd never seen Hollywood, before. They didn't attend many of the panels at the Road Rally. They spent more time at the Wax Museum and putting their hands in Judy Garland's handprints, I think, than they did. Yeah, I'm afraid if I took the Road Rally to Las Vegas that people might go home with more than COVID. Um, I can't remember if I mentioned this on the show or not, but we are definitely for the Road Rally this year. We're going to do panels from pretty much like 9 a.m. LA time to 6 p.m. LA time. And then after that, I don't have this 100% locked down, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen that Music Pro Insurance, which sponsored that great showcase in the upstairs ballroom last year at the rally, they are going to sponsor 3 nights of showcases, and I think we'll probably have like 5 acts per night. Um, they will mostly be taxi acts. Music Pro sometimes may ask us to include one of their clients that they think is really good. Beauty and grooming will be allowed to reopen at 25% capacity. So Lee Lux, I must have missed your answer. Oh, you live in the San Gabriel Valley. Okay. So close enough. Um, my first road rally this year. Can't wait. I'm feeling confident about the quality of the content, but I've got to say, I am still pretty heartbroken over the fact that I don't get to see all you guys in person. We work really, really hard to provide great content at the Road Rally. As I said in my phone call with Fed earlier today, every single time I hit that stage in the ballroom and start a panel, I literally say to myself in my head, what would the people in the audience ask if they had the microphone in their hand? And that's how I run those panels, because to me, it just doesn't make sense for people to fly in from all over the world and watch people up on stage pontificate about, oh yeah, my day as an A&R guy, I do this, I do that. Unless the A&R person is telling you, these are the things that I look for in an act to sign. These are the things that you can get noticed by me and other people in the A&R community. These are things that you can expect to encounter in your interactions with an A&R person. That's the kind of information that I want the audience to go home knowing, as opposed to some other events I've been to where it's all about, so tell us, what was it like struggling for all those years? People already know what it's like to struggle. I mean, it's not worthless information, but it really doesn't help move you forward, and that's what we're all about. So the content is great at the rally, but what I think makes the rally super great are the people. Is the people? Are the people. And the connections that are made and the relationships and the co-writes that happen and meeting people from the industry. The industry people are unbelievably available at the Road Rally. So all that stuff is exciting to me. When I start getting the emails right after the rally, thank you so much. I met a publisher the other night. I was ponied up to the bar to buy a beer, and I saw somebody that was on a panel. Asked them how they got their start in the industry. Next thing you know, we're hanging out together. At the end of the evening, that person asked me, what kind of music do you make? Give me a copy, blah, blah, blah. So that's the stuff that I love to hear. I know. I wanted to meet you guys in person too. I mean, this is definitely a little family we've got going on here. Deborah says, anyone familiar with the 20 songs game? That's when you try to write 20 songs within 12 hours. Can't say that I am. Michael Laskow for president. No, thank you. Rightly, you're right. It is sad that it's virtual. I mean, I promise to make it as good as we possibly can virtually. But yeah, I mean, it's such a rush for me being, the founder of Taxi to have people stop me by the elevator, in the restroom, in the hallways, and just say, "Man, I came all the way from Hong Kong, and I'm so glad I did." I love it. The best compliment I get at the road rally is, "I flew 14 hours to get here. I've traveled 24 hours to get here, and it's been every minute has been amazing." And I hear that on Thursday night after they stood in line for hours to register. I always find that funny, but it's a compliment that I really appreciate. Do I know of Sound Techniques mixing desks, originally built in the 60s and 70s in Chelsea, London? Now, a company owned by a couple of guys here. US Sunset Sound had one of their desks. No, I've never heard of Sound Techniques. Yeah, that's what we should do. Is we should make road rally badges. I attended the virtual road rally. You can't see my badge, but I'm wearing it. All hail the taxi family. Truly great. Wow, it's 4:53. I could just look at the video of my face and see that clock behind me, but no. I had to look up at the corner of my computer to see what time. Well, man, that just, Martin Gravel says, "I have no stress at all about the virtual road rally. It'll be great." I'm glad you've got no stress because I'm starting to get to the point now. I'm like 2 months out and I'm starting to get stressed about it. There you go, Darren Moss. He's been to the road rally a few times all the way from Australia, and it is worth it. Thank you for acknowledging that. Ronald Schultz says, "So, speaking of the road rally, I have a friend who's not a musician but an LA Atlanta actress. She's been reading The War of Art. She is excited that Stephen Pressfield will be the keynote speaker. Yeah, as am I. Pressfield's books are amazing, but make sure if you're going to read his books, definitely read The War of Art first. A lot of people tend to skip to Turning Pro because they think it's going to be a shortcut. But if you haven't read The War of Art first, I think that you're hurting yourself a little bit by reading Turning Pro first. I've got to get my act together and get taxi T-shirts made. Hang on, I'll be right back. Maybe I won't be right back. Oh, here it is. Okay, whipping out my daily calendar. Ooh, I have an 8 o'clock Zoom meeting tomorrow on some technical stuff. That sounds exciting. Um, okay, let me see. What was it that I just said that I was? Oh, T-shirts. Design T-shirts for rally. Um, I think I'm gonna do it so using one of those companies where they, rather than like ordering, 8 dozen shirts and having them in a box at the office and us having to fulfill the orders and send them out. What's the name of that place? A couple of them online where you can get like coffee mugs and T-shirts, like the one I was wearing. Okay. Ian Shortle read a few pages of The War of Art last night. Deborah Hulskamp loves the book. Um, Big Frog is the company. Cafe Press. That's right. All right. I will get my act together and get those shirts done. Do you guys like the classic taxi shirts with the cab logo and everything? Teespring. Oh, you know what? There we go. I found this. I was at the office the other day and this was sitting on my desk, so I brought it home so I could hold it up. Write, submit, forget, repeat. For those of you who are new to our little world, the phrase was actually created by maybe Matt Hurt. Some of the old, taxi members, I don't mean old by years, I mean they've been members forever, came out with this phrase years ago, and it's obviously a takeoff on wash, rinse, and repeat. Write, submit, forget, and repeat, which means write, submit it, forget that you submitted it. Don't sit there and wait for the phone to ring like you're waiting, for your weed dealer to show up, and repeat. Just keep doing that over and over and over. Our most successful members have found that this is one of the things that help them become successful. So I don't actually own the copyright to this. Some members actually printed these up. I forget the gentleman's name. I want to say Mark Doyle, maybe? No, I don't know. Some members were either selling these or giving them out at the road rally. But if I put this on the back of the taxi T-shirts, people would wonder, well, what the hell does that mean? So yeah, I'll come up. In some years, I've wanted to do road rally T-shirts that say, like Road Rally 2020, but then you get stuck with the leftovers that are no longer valid. Stephen Giles, thank you, Edmund. That's right, Stephen Giles made those. I like Stephen Giles. He's a good guy, really good guy. Yes, with the with the can logo, the cab logo. All right. Yeah, if I go to some place like Cafe Press, sure, we can get coffee mugs, all that stuff. Look. Here's a mug from Cafe Press with my grandson on it. I use it as my pen and pencil holder. Put a gopher on it. There you go. Taxi action figures. I don't know. Here's Michael now hosting an episode of the Quarantini Happy Hour. Backyard wildlife videos during the road rally? I don't think so. Picture of a snook on the back. Now, there you go. I love that. For those of you who haven't been around for a long time, snook is my favorite fish to catch. Wow, Deborah has been getting up at 8. Sit in my studio, write an instrumental until it's finished. Yay! Little yellow cabs for sale. All right. Well, once again, we're over by a minute, but this was fun. Time flew by today. Taxi T-shirts with groundhog squirrels on them would be great. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. And remember, tomorrow, if you guys could go into the comments section after this video is posted on YouTube, which will be shortly after we finish the show, and write down any questions that come to mind. So I have something to start out the show with FET tomorrow. Of course, you can ask questions in the chat room as well. Squirrel tail hats. Who's going to provide the squirrel tails? Because if I do that, my wife would kill me. A bobblehead of Michael. There you go. Michael listening to music. Yeah, bobbing my head. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you or talk to you. And we'll be back at 4 o'clock tomorrow for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Don't forget to give us a like and hit that subscribe button, all right? Thanks, guys. Have a good night.